The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
You've always got time for Short Time.
Hey, it's Mario Lopez.
David Taylor.
Brent Metcalf. Johnny Hendricks. Tony Ramos. Bubba J.
Mike Golick.
Matthew Modine.
The one and only Chael Sonnen, and you are listening to the one and only Short Time Wrestling Podcast by the often imitated and never duplicated Jason Bryant.
So here we are, episode 300 of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. And yes, if you're doing your own count of the show, there are more than 300 episodes here in the feed. But when it comes to numbered shows, and I didn't always number press conferences. Some I did, some I didn't. I had the short segments, which was like a 5-minute show. I didn't want to label that a full short time. I even came up with like short time shorts. I think that was like at National Duels 2 years ago with Heath Esslinger from Tennessee Chattanooga. But anyway, this is episode 300 of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jason Bryant. I've been with you at this in the podcast world since 2008. For this show, we kicked off in November of 2013 with a show that initially was designed to be a short burst of wrestling news that you would download, listen first thing in the morning, whether you were in the car to work, in the shower, whatever. That would be the intent. And then that season ended, or the season ended. I'm like, well, what the heck do I do now? Hence the interview and the very robust cross-section of guests that I brought you for now entering AC 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17. This is our fourth season of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. Today, Richard Immel joins the show. So you'll hear this twice. We're only putting it in the network once because of bonus points. It's on thematt.com. It gets a lot more traffic than Matt Talk Online's website gets, but bonus points will also be a very similar episode. Basically, everything that's going to be between the intros is the same, except for maybe this little segment, which I'm adding on. Richard does his own thing. So kind of a co-show because I have been busy since the Midlands, and our last episode was 299 with Gabe Dean. You will hear during the course of the show that I talk about my daughters. Both of them are sick right now as we record this again, January 5th, 2017. My oldest is in the hospital. She was in the NICU, or not the NICU, the PICU, the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit, for a couple days. I came home from Chicago the morning of the day after the Midlands. Went home, showered, changed, went to the hospital to see my daughter. So Lucy is having a few issues, and she's cleared the hardest part yet. We expect her to be home by the weekend, I'm supposed to be in Fort Wayne this weekend, working the multi-divisional national duels with the NWCA and that crew, and getting a lot of shows for the network. Well, family first, right? That's what everybody told me. And of course, I'm not going to leave my wife with 2 kids at home. And, the in-laws are close, but they're going to the Dominican Republic for, it looks like, see if that would be Abby's aunt's wedding. So, we can't just rely on everybody all the time. So eventually, we've got 2 adults. We have to do parenting things. So my daughter will be home soon. The little one has an ear infection. So after we recorded this episode, that's why we were quick to get out of the door. I had to go over to the pediatrician, which is just right down the street, which is nice about where we live here in New Brighton, Minnesota. Weather 5 below today. It's cold. And if you've seen on the national news, that giant fish that these brothers put together with snow, that is exactly 1 block from my house. If I had an arm strong enough, and I could probably chuck it to the street that's in between, a little terrace. It's basically a backyard, a cul-de-sac street, a house and a backyard away. So, it's a bit of a poke. So, I don't think I could throw it that far, but maybe hit a baseball that far in my years when I was actually a good baseball player. So good place to live here. So my daughter's in good hands, and I will probably, instead of doing that, I will end up at the Minnesota-Penn State match, because by that time Lucy will be ready to come home, and we can actually eat something other than Devani's, which is right across the street. I actually posted a picture, a really bad selfie of me wearing an Augsburg pullover, and you'll hear Richard allude to that in this episode. Augsburg's right across the street from the Children's Hospital. So spent a lot of time in those parking lots, and Jeff Swenson has actually said, he says, hey, if you ever need a place to park, just park there and give me the ticket. So I'm good with that if I ever need it. But that's kind of where we sit with the adulting thing. And this show, 300 episodes of this show, 300 and something on the feed. Again, there's the early episodes where we were struggling with where do we put this stuff? Like one of the most downloaded episodes of this program is actually not even this program. It was the teleconference or the press conference from FILA and USA Wrestling during the Save Olympic Wrestling movement. And some of those are falling under when Kyle Klingman and I were trying to figure out is this going to be on the Mat Web edition? And we just had a lot of different things. So it's a new year. As I will allude to in the show, we talk a little bit. It's not, some of it's wrestling centric. I mean, this is when Richard and I talk, it gets to be a little long-winded on things, and I get off topic. And as you said, my voice is kind of coming back a little bit. But that being the case, this is episode 300. If you like what you hear, I always want to say that Dave Jackson says, go tell somebody. Well, if you like what you hear, go to MattTalkOnline.com/join the team. You can be part of this team members. Is in 2017, we are going to create some great content, and it's going to be because of you, the listener, and you, the team member. Great content coming your way. Bruce Baumgartner is going to be on the Legends series coming soon. But again, when you're adulting and you have kids that are sick, playing phone tag with one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, you want to get that done. But next week, Virginia Duels, have a lot of stuff from there. Check it out. So hey, happy 2016. I hope it was a good one. Here's to a good 2017. This is Richard and I doing basically a whole lot of talk about nothing here on the Bonus Points Short Time crossover episode. There was supposed to be a sound effect there. I'm just going to leave it blank. Yeah, well, it's going to be a show. Richard and I are sitting here. It's January 5th, 2017. This is a special episode of Bonus Short Blood Time. No, there is no blood round, guys. No Tommy, no Kevin. But Richard and I starting off the new year with, for lack of a better term, the long and short of it, as bonus points and short time, again, coming together like the Jetsons and the Flintstones in the crossover episodes. You wrestling fans are about to get 45 minutes of something we don't know about and maybe 15 minutes of real wrestling talk.
Exactly. Coming together like the Packers and the Giants this weekend.
The Bucks didn't make the playoffs. Blah.
Yeah, neither did the Broncos and neither did the Vikings.
Speaking of playoffs, I do believe I did have a playoff fantasy football victory over said Richard Immel in the Yazdani the Greatest League.
We did not have to go there.
No, but here's the worst part. Okay, so I get beat. It's Christmas night. I'm at my in-laws in St. Cloud, and I'm looking at my phone with the NFL league, and it's not just a media league. We got some members of the media in this league, but Sam Hayeswinkle, which is Richard's buddy from OU. Why isn't it U of O? But anyway, that's another story entirely. So I'm up by about 40 points on Sam the Hayes, and his team name is Hayes Win. Like mine's butts are stinky. You had probably a what was it? A Game of Thrones reference.
Yeah, White Walkers.
Okay, whatever the hell that means. So again, I haven't watched the show. So I'm up by like 39 and a half, 40 points. And this is a weirdly, because you're scoring like tenths of a point, hundredths of a point. So I'm like, all right. And I'm like, ooh, he's got that Chiefs wide receiver. Was it Tyreek Hill, whatever his name is? And Ezekiel Elliott to go. Christmas. I'm like, I'm up 40. His projected, I've got 106. I'm done. He's got like 60. His projected points is like 95. I got a buffer here. Freaking Tyreek goes crazy. I don't even look into it until I see a huge run by Ezekiel Elliott. I'm like, oh no. I pull up the app and now I'm up by 2 in the first quarter of the last game. Sure enough, it ends up I end up losing to Hayes by less than a point in this thing. And I was the 6th seed. I was the 5 seed. He was the 6 seed because I was the 5 because I knocked off the 4 and then I beat Rimmel and then Hayes comes from the number 6 spot. So I had to text him a congratulations. If he's finally going to win one, this was the one he had to win. And I don't know if that was too soon or not, but Sam Hayeswinkle, not a member of the media, does win the Yazdani the Greatest Media Fantasy Football Contest. Admirably, I finished second by less than a point. And I didn't even know the draft was going on for the first 3 rounds. So that being said,
to be fair, you knew the draft was going on.
But I was in 2 other drafts at the same time. I just didn't get the notification like I thought it was going to be live. Anyway, that being
minor
said,
details. Congrats to Hayes. That was good stuff.
Yeah. So, new year. We're going to talk a little bit of wrestling here, but We were talking
New
about
year,
this
new
last
me.
show. It was like, what happened? What would happen if it was just me and Rimmel talking about things in the world for like 45 minutes to an hour? Would people listen?
We'll find out.
Well, that's basically the last 3 shows we've done with a guest on each other's show.
So the idea this episode is to look back at 2016, talk about some memories, some of our favorite times.
I will remember you. I don't know.
That's a great jacket, by the way. I'm digging the Augsburg jacket.
Yeah, this is a Nick Slack specialty. He hooked it up. This is obviously, I think, a 2008-2009 edition because the national championships stop on the sleeve in 2007 on this. But yeah, it's a pretty good pullover. And because my oldest daughter's currently at the University of Minnesota's Children's Medical Center, which is across the street from Augsburg College. So I figured national duels, multi-divisional national duels starting as we speak. I'm across the street from Augsburg. It's 4 below. This is just an apt thing to wear today. Actually, I'm wearing it from yesterday because I came home this morning from the hospital. I slept there last night. Man, I get that crick in your neck. You get? It sucks. Anyway.
So what do you say? We want to start with our favorite memories.
Olympicos. I mean, your first games, man. This is. I want to get your perspective. Your first Olympics.
Should I just
2016. Start with it. Start with it. Yeah.
Yeah. 10 minutes of Olympic talk from Slick Rick.
Go Burundi.
Go Burundi. I forgot about Burundi. I'm a little upset. I didn't see anyone from Burundi at the Olympics. Not one person.
I think you've got to go to the Winter Olympics really to pick up the Burundi gear.
Well, maybe one day.
What are they? Pyeongchang this year? South Korea?
They're Pyeongchang.
Excuse me, Korea. You can't say South Korea.
Right.
You really can't say North Korea.
But we do.
We just did.
So my favorite wrestling memory, was definitely going to the Olympics for the first time. Just finished my 4th year here at USA Wrestling. But I think, narrowing it down a little bit more, Helen Maroulis was my favorite memory of 2016. It wasn't even close. I think we can all sort of admit to the man tears that was going on at the after that match. I know you were crying,
dude. You know how hard it was with the role that I had. I lost my mind. I was about to say the S word, but this is technically still your show too. So
kind of.
Yeah, I lost it there. It was like
it was one of those. I was sitting there. I was tweeting and putting out graphics and letting everyone know that letting everyone know that Helen won. And just for the record, I'm a little dragged down today because I'm not allowed to eat because I'm going in under the knife in like 2 hours. So I can't eat.
It's your face that's going to get cut into because it's wisdom teeth day for the Rimmel.
Yeah, so it's a little. If I stumble over my words, it's because I haven't eaten in like 10 hours. But yeah, we're sitting up there, and actually, I was alone on the press row at this time because Gary had gone down, and he was leading the mix zone with Helen, and everyone else had gone down to do interviews, and I'm just up there by myself, and I couldn't move my fingers for like 10 minutes, legit 10 minutes. It was one of those things, But this came after like so many days of disappointment, and just it was tough. It was really tough to watch. I think we went 4 days without getting a medal. Without anyone even wrestling for a medal. And then Helen comes out and wins the gold medal in that fashion against Yoshida. Just one of the biggest upsets of all time. And it was incredible, and even after the match, I wrote my story, finished it up, and then I had to take Helen to all the little NBC things. They call it Managing Victory, the Managing Victory tour. So we rode a golf cart outside the arena, like all the way across the Olympic Park over to the broadcast center, where John Smith was sequestered the whole time. But we went in there, and the first thing Helen does is like get a huge pizza and like fried everything and chocolate. Like they were feeding her chocolate the whole way on the golf cart. We went to the first presser for the media that weren't at the actual arena. We did a press conference there. They had chocolate right out like right out of the gate.
Like the good Brazilian chocolate.
Yeah, no, they had like ice cream, like chocolate. They just brought her a whole plate of chocolate.
Please tell me they had Lindor truffles. Because,
I don't know.
It's a holiday season, man. The holiday season, Lindor truffles are like in everybody's stocking. So
yeah, it could have been. I think it was like a chocolate ice cream, not a sandwich, but the one on the stick, whatever those are called. And then
like a dilly bar.
Yeah, and then like a bar of chocolate. And then we do the press conference. We go over to the International Business Center. NBC
Broadcast
hooks us up.
Center.
Yeah.
IBC, not business broadcast.
Again, under the weather a little bit right now. I'm cutting weight. It's really late. I hit 183 yesterday, so Gabe Dean, better watch out, bro.
Like, dude, he's the destroyer of hopes and dreams.
The crusher of souls.
The crusher of souls. Like,
but I don't know, where was I going with this story? Basically, Helen got
chocolate,
a lot of free
Marulas,
food.
yeah.
We did a lot of cool stuff afterwards.
No sleep, managing victory.
Yeah, we were up until 2 or 3 a.m. before we left there, and then we have to start all over at 6 a.m. the next day for the rest of the next day. Was that Burroughs Day? That was Burroughs Day the next day. Another moment that I will remember in 2016, not necessarily for those same reasons, but that was, I think within about a 12-hour span, I went from the highest of highs to like the lowest of lows. That I just can't put it into words really how crazy the Olympics were. But Jordan's Olympics were, I mean, it was heartbreaking. This is just me sitting up in the stands. It's like, it's not my dream that I'm watching get just unfold like this, but it was tough. It was tough. I've rambled a lot. You go ahead. I'm getting a little choked up just talking about this.
Yeah, the Helen thing, and I've explained this, I think, I'm not sure if it was this show or Blood Round or whatever, but the moment Helen wins, and I'm just like, it was like, oh man. I mean, it was how, and I have got the calm here. I am the voice I'm the English voice of the freaking games. So you got to nail this. And my producer's looking at me. I have tears streaming down my face. I'm doing my best to stay as impartial as I could. And then Helen wins, and it's just, throw that out the window. Yeah, that was one of the more powerful moments I've ever experienced in wrestling. Burroughs winning his first world title in Turkey when I was on the call, kind of calling that as it happened for the web stream. That was the number one moment up until then. And then, Snyder following, it was like, that was so weird because we kind of all expected Snyder to win, even though he had taken losses during the year. We expected him to win. It wasn't like a huge surprise that, by the way, Keita Gazimov looks like Bald Bull from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. He's just bald, angry, and mean looking. That's a guy that if you walk down the street and you want like somebody to take out somebody's kneecaps or something, you're like, this guy, sick him. He is the scariest wrestler outside of Carell, and I think I've ever experienced. But he's like actually generally a friendly guy too, which is kind of weird. But
he's an angry elf.
Yeah, the Marulas thing was one. Seeing Icho do 4, even though she's not American, was quite moving in terms of you just saw something that's never happened before. And with 16, a lot of these moments for me are different because I'm not just being able to take them in as a fan or as a journalist. I'm the voice of this stuff. So it takes on a little extra meaning because like I'll go back, they'll go back 20 years from now and watch these moments and I'm on their soundtrack. So there's a pressure there that, again, their moment's not about me, but that was a moment for me in my side of the fence and in my world that I was charged to do my job there. So being able to share those moments, like the NCAAs in New York City, the Olympics, the freaking Olympic trials. I mean, this year saved like the last week of 2016 where my basement flooded and my furnace went out and my kid's been in the hospital since the end of the Midlands. Okay, 360 days of 2016 were amazing. And a lot of that had to do with wrestling and the birth of my daughter. So, Yeah.
Ruby Rio.
Yeah, Ruby Rio, who is the same birthday as Jordan Burroughs, in which you and him so eloquently pointed out in that episode that that was a tough one to time. But,
that was a great episode.
Yeah, anyway, that was the most listened to episode of Bonus Points in history. I was doing the year in review stats for the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
It was Miles Martin was number 2. Let's see. But over on the network, as a network, the Guillotine just like crushed it. We're getting off in the weeds here a little bit, but the Guillotine, like all 16 of their episodes that I released in 2016 were in the top 100 of the 347 episodes that were put out. So bonus points, you had 27 of the top 100. Short Time had 28. So let's just see. Where was your the better episodes of the year? My best episode on Short Time was Kale, and then it was Lauren Burroughs. So, I
think my top 5 episodes are Burroughs, Miles Martin, Dake, Bo Nickel. Gilman's up there.
Well, from the ones that are just released in 2016, that's all I'm talking about. So it's Burroughs, Martin, Nickel, Gilman, Imar.
Yeah.
Our Olympic preview show came in 33rd overall.
It's not bad.
Was that? Yeah, that was the one where we went for 37 minutes and didn't talk anything. We still got to send those guys their stuff though.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Get to that. Maybe after NCAA predictions.
Yeah, I got a new batch of draft classes that came in too, so I'm working on some new gear from Compound to fill that in as well. So
back to Rio.
Yeah, back to Rio.
I think something that gets lost that people don't really get to experience, except for a select few people. But my favorite moments was like the week leading up to the games. And
this magic moment.
Like going to the training facility and being with everyone, because we were basically off in the middle of nowhere by ourselves. And being there as they're preparing for the games was almost as intense as actually watching it, because you're just sitting there in this little, it was almost like I don't even know how to describe this room, but there was a pool and then this long, skinny, kind of sauna-y type room that had a couple mats in it. And there was also fencing equipment on the other side of it, pillars in the middle of the wall. But did you make it over there? You made it over there, didn't you?
Never. Because I was in Copacabana, dude. I was an hour away from Baja.
Yeah, the traffic was awful. It was nuts. It was a 40-minute Uber drive from my hotel to the Lonier training facility. And it was probably like a 10-minute walk, if we're being honest. But that's just how crazy that.
Yeah, but you got to walk through like the jungle,
the swamp,
and the fear of Zika floating around. There were a lot more mosquitoes down where you were at than where I was at.
Yeah, it was not the most pleasant area as far as smell was concerned.
Yeah, I found this out too. Like, there's a didn't know what it was until like the last day, because every time we're walking out over the bridge to the bus station right by the that hotel and the main press center, it's like, what is that smell? Come to find out, there was like an open sewer pipe there the entire week, and it's like, oh
yeah, that's
why this place smells like the Bronx. No, I'm just kidding.
The Baja area, they had 2 open sewer lines going on either side of it, so it was kind of hard to walk across, from one side to the other. So that's why the traffic was kind of iffy, and the police were blocking everything off. But
did I tell you the Lochte thing that led to my theory on our travel because of Mr. Lochte?
Right. Continue.
So the day after it comes out that Lochte was a complete JA, and he didn't get robbed. Well, we've got this taxi pass that allowed us to get past a certain way and then drop us off in front of the gates to where we could then go through the workers thing and go in. And basically, this cut about 45 minutes off our trip. The day after the Lochte thing comes out, big American sitting in the passenger seat with a tag on my credential that says, "I speak English." And we walk by and they're like, no. And I'm like, why? And as soon as I said anything, we were done. So I believe that the military and the police see 2 Americans in this car and said, nope, you're done. And we had to go all the way around, walk 2 miles to where it's like, it was bad. So the next day we let the Portuguese guys sit up front, or the Brazilian guys sit up front, turn my badge around so you couldn't see it. Me and Ken Berger didn't say a word. No. Okay, go ahead. I believe the fact that Lochte did that, and they were pissed off at any American, and they were going to screw with them. So I honestly blame Ryan Lochte for our travel issues, and the military and the police going, nope. Oh, Americans, guess what? You make us look stupid. We're about to make your day a lot less happy. So, and I can't blame them either, because the guy's a JA.
I had similar scenarios. I stood outside in a tsunami downpour trying to get a taxi for our women's freestyle team because the shuttle that they came from the hotel from the Olympic Village to the press area for their press conference just disappeared. So they didn't have a way to get back, and nobody would let us come into the press area to pick them up, even though we had a car. So we had to somehow. I argued with some guy in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. That's all I could say. I don't speak Spanish, like Ron Burgundy. I stood outside there for an hour.
San Diego. It means never mind.
So get this. So I stand out there for an hour. I'm just waving these guys down. I'm arguing with people. I'm cussing people out in Spanish. I don't know what I'm saying. And then I finally am able to sneak Cody, who works here, Cody Bickley, sneak him in with the car. And the girls and Steiner had taken a taxi and left. And I'd been out there for an hour. So they had already left. They were just chilling inside a hotel. They just forgot to say, hey, we left.
Yeah, Uber, you were not getting anywhere near.
No,
either.
Uber was still a 10-minute walk from like the closest Uber drop-off point.
Here's what I love about this whole thing. Shane Sparks, I had him on the show not that long ago, talk about his experience in getting down there. He didn't know he was going down there until like a month before. Even like not even that. His spot, his hotel, across the freaking street from the venue. Me and Ken Berger working the event, like part of the staff, which by the way, it took us 4 months to get paid, believe it or not. 45 minutes away on a good day. Yeah. Although, anyway, enough about
it. Took me an hour to get to Copa. I went there one time. Me and Tony Rotundo got dropped off at the end by the beach volleyball, walked all the way down, had a little octopus on the beach. That was good stuff, actually. We stopped at this little place on the side. Had some octopus, some shrimp, some.
There's a spot right there. The night that I photobombed Ryan Seacrest, the night that I was all over Olympic late night, was one of the better experiences I've ever had. Because my knowledge of television, there was maybe 20 of us around there, and it was like it was me and Julia Salata, Becca Leathers, a couple other people, Mike Kwame, who I'd ran into, and Elena's brother. Just basically like 6 or 7 of us that kind of just like conglomerated at this little like Mexican joint. After Becca and Julia and I had the absolute most amazing steak sandwiches ever. It's like, we're going to order 4 more of these. Okay. We ordered like, they were the apps and they were just sandwiches cut into 3s. And we're like, yeah, we want more of these. So then we end up like 3 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, like, yeah, Olympic late night starts, like, we're going, these giant margaritas. And, I didn't have to work for another 2 days. And then, the rule is if you can read the teleprompter, you can be on television. That's kind of thing, because that's where the camera is. And that's where like Ryan Seacrest, who is a freaking pro, this guy is, that's not easy to do. And he made it look so easy. I mean, I can see where he was, getting off script and ad-libbing as based on what was around him. And I'm like, this guy's really good. But then it gets to the point where I start yelling stuff at Seacrest, because let's be quite honest. It was probably 1:30 in the morning. You can probably figure how many beverages I may or may not have had at that point. And they were pretty good, by the way. So then I'm like, I'm figuring it out. And I'm like, I loved you on Robot Chicken. That's a show on Cartoon Network for those who are unfamiliar. And he goes, that's funny. And then I say, or something like, I got to get you on my Instagram. And I'm like, all right. And I'm on Seacrest's Instagram. But that was like the fun, the last real fun night. I got to, then it was work for 8 days. And then trying not to get sick. Kind of like I'm under the weather now, coming off the Midlands, and I'm just backed up, sick. My basement, who knows what's growing in my carpet. So that was Richard. That's about 25 minutes on just like your first question, the Olympics itself. We've got Madison Square Garden, we've got trials, we've got I don't know, some
got junior and cadet worlds.
Junior cadet worlds. I mean, we've got Mark Hall and the. Yeah, technically though, Mark Hall and the Scuffle is 2017, so we're gonna have to wait 360 more days to talk about that. Yeah,
so where do you want to go with this? Do you want to talk about NCAAs? I could go on on and on about Rio. Like,
I
Rio
mean,
was,
we could
Rio was
probably do,
incredible.
I mean, we could do a full long and short of it about the Olympics. But we're in August. My birthday was down there, so I turned 37 in Rio. That's just cool.
My birthday is less than a fortnight, good sir.
Less than a fortnight. So what are you, 21 finally?
Almost.
You were born in what, 90?
Yes, 90. January of 90.
Dude, you're like 7 months older than my nephew.
Okay.
Who is married with a child now. So
I'm doing it right. Basically.
Yeah, well, we both have had this adulting thing kind of distract us from our life here. You're working on the house thing, right? You a homeowner now?
I just finished moving. I still have some unpacked boxes in there, but I got the house, moved in. It took about a week. Where was I at? I went on a trip. Oh, the Nationals, the Senior Nationals.
The 2017 Nationals in December of 2016.
December of 2016.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Had that issue in 11.
Before, went and covered the Nationals, came back, and then I started moving. Then I get the text from my dad. Hey, see you tonight. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, we're coming out for Christmas. Oh, okay, thanks. That's perfect. Thought they were coming Friday, and they came Tuesday.
Yeah, at least you didn't come back to your house and have a big steaming pile of squatter poop or something like that, Yeah,
that's true.
Depends on where you live in the Springs. You get some of the drifters.
Yeah, I will say that my old apartment just billed me for January rent, and I moved out in the middle of December, so gonna have to drop the hammer there.
Broke into the old apartment. Bare Naked Ladies, anyone? No?
Yeah, it's okay.
Love that
More
song.
Goo Goo Dolls.
This is where we used to live. Christy Davis, huge Bare Naked Ladies fan.
Madison Square Garden? Should we go there?
Yeah, I've been there a couple times. So, okay, I'm not going to tell that story. Not going to tell that story. Never mind. That's
I got a good story.
Sashimi is not the story I'm going to tell. You might have heard it, but I'm not going to. Brian Hazard, Nate Shy, Craig Frost, Nick Frost. Yeah.
That was a good story.
Okay,
that was great.
But I don't want to let that one out to the public. So
yeah, but you said it, so it's.
But no, that's the thing. You just have to keep your ear out for sashimi from here on out. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Sashimi was
Monkey Wrench, Ferrari, Bucktown.
Okay, all of these are related.
Machete. Yeah, those were. JID, those were all things that were said that are related, but they don't sound related. So I'll just leave it there. That's your Easter egg for the year. That's a term I've been using because I've been watching a lot of Star Wars Rogue One, like trailers. I've seen the movie, but now I'm like getting into like the whole, what Star Wars canon stuff is. So this is the nerd out thing, but yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's great radio. Excuse me. That's great podcasting.
So story time.
Madison Square Garden.
Story time.
This is the story of a girl who cried a river and drowned. Oh, yeah. Anyway, bad karaoke. Claunch is laughing at this, by the way.
That's really good stuff. I think my favorite story from, well, it could be two. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is the same night or a different night. It's not the same night. But so at Madison Square Garden, myself and a couple other journalists, SIDs, were on the floor. There were like 20 seats on the floor, and then everyone else had to sit up in the skybox. Way up top. But
the Chase Bridge, I believe it was called.
Yeah, the bridge. Chase Bridge. So I'm sitting there, and every night I was like the last one there. Every night. Myself and Andy Hamilton. We were like the last people there. So wrestling finishes. I think it was semifinal night. So there's a lot going on. We had interviews, press conference. I made getting the story out a little bit later. And Andy and I are like the last ones there. Maybe KJ was there, but he left a little bit early. But so we're working. Lights go out. We're the only two people in the arena, and we're like, oh crap, maybe we should like get out of here. So I post my story. He posts his story. He does his thing. We start walking out, and we go up the elevator, and we're locked in. Like, we're locked in Madison Square Garden. We couldn't get out the normal way. So we were walking around, and we went through, they have that little theater area. We went to the theater area, and we were scared because we had to go through stairwells. And we're like, what if these doors lock behind us and the ones in front of us are locked? Like, we had no idea what what was going on. There was no one around, no security guards. We were like banging on the door outside, and people couldn't open it. We went across the theater area. Might have put on a faux play as well. It was kind of fun. But yeah, so finally we found a security guard, like the one person that must have been in Madison with us, and he let us out. But we were trying to get out of Madison Square Garden for an hour before we could actually get out. And we were about this close to just camping out on mat 1, like legit. We were just about to go sleep on mat 1 and get back at it the next day.
Why?
But,
well, there was only 2 of you. There were 6 mats at that point in time. Why would you
we
just
could have had our own mat, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's cool. I mean, let's just make sure that they've cleaned them down so you're not getting, you know, you're not having a flare up of the funk.
Right. But my other favorite moment from that trip was after the finals. Andy and I went to this pizza place, you know, just one of those little New York shops on the corner, very small, congested. And Miles Martin walks in the pizza place, and there's a couple Penn State fans in there. There's like 10 people in there total. And then Miles Martin and his dad walk in, and everyone just starts chanting champ or something like that, you know, and clapping for him. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, you got people from, like, I think there was a Minnesota guy in there and a Penn State guy in there. And I forget who else, but it was really cool. So I got to chat with Miles a little bit after he won his title. Because I hadn't really known him. You know, I'd known him from Fargo and stuff. And then we did the podcast like the week after, which was, I think, number 2. You said number 2 on our list?
Number 2.
Yeah,
number 2.
Outside of the wrestling, those were my two favorite moments from the Garden. And of course, you know, the wrestling was awesome. Snyder and Gwiz and Imar Nolf. And I mean, really, that whole set of finals. Can you think of a better set of finals? I think every match.
Not for a while.
Every
been
match
good.
came down to the end.
Yeah, they were really good. One thing that, like, this is kind of involving, like, New York, what it is that, like, my little secret is, and this is something I will explain. I love getting to nationals on Tuesday. Now, granted, it makes things a lot more difficult because I put the almanac, the preview guide out, which is, you know, it's almost 300 pages now. And like this year, I'm going, you know, Pac-12s, NAIs, D3s, D1s, back-to-back weekends. I'd be amazed if I'm still married after that month. But so I get there. I like going to Tuesday. I learned this in Oklahoma City because when you're in Oklahoma City and staying near Bricktown, there's nobody out on a Tuesday night ever except the week before nationals. And then everybody you see is wrestling people. So I actually no, it might have been St. Louis is where I started this. So you get there Tuesday. You basically have the run of the places to yourself. And the only other people you're really going to see that are out are the wrestling people because they don't have to really, it's their only night out because once Wednesday starts, they're getting everybody down to weight. And I'm talking more about the coaches and support staff, not the actual athletes. And then, so like Tuesday, I end up getting there. I meet my buddy, Nate, one of the best men at my wedding. Hazard just stops in for a second. We're not going to get like wild, but one of my SID friends comes out and then we're just kind of traversing Manhattan. We end up at like that Blarney Stone, the Irish bar right next to and then to sit there and see the nuances of Mike Zadek and Giant Beard drinking like a Miller Lite or something. I don't know. It might have been a water. Who knows what he, I don't know if he was drinking or not. I'm not trying to throw the coaches under the bus for having an alcoholic beverage here. And John Smith arguing with him with a glass of wine in his hand. And they're not arguing. They're actually explaining nuances of matches they wrestled against Russians. And my buddy Nate's there just like asking them both questions about this. And it's like this weird world of at 3:30 in the morning of like, this is actually happening right now. And there's 10 other people here that are witnessing this and have no idea what's happening in front of them. Like, this is a world silver medalist and John Smith, like talking about the Russians at 3 a.m, drinking wine and Miller Lite or something. It was just, that's what you see on Tuesday night at the NCAA. So, if you like to lurk a little bit and be a fly on the wall and like meet people, go Tuesday. That's when the people are getting there. They're already checked in. They're not coming in Wednesday. The teams that can't afford it are coming in Wednesday. So yeah, your mid-majors are coming in Wednesday. They're not coming in Tuesday. But
hey, just to piggyback off that,
I really like the Tuesdays. What?
Yeah, Tuesday's awesome. I get there
Tuesday's great. They're not hooking me up with a Tuesday this year because it's a 2-hour flight, not a New York flight. So I might have to go Tuesday on my own. There's a All-Star meet coming up though that Tuesday with some like Missouri and Illinois kids, I think. So that's where it might be worth checking out. But
the Border Brawl, right?
Yeah, it's David Mercatani's working on some stuff like that. So
right.
That's Tuesday night. So now that is like the Madison Square Garden thing. Long story short, like I said, it's been a great year for me. Announcing the Olympics, announcing the Nationals. And what really made this difficult is we know that the voice has changed this year. And the venue was New York City, and there's some diehard loyalists and traditionalists that had a real problem with the voice change. And I'm not talking about hitting puberty voice change. I'm talking about, the previous announcers versus me and Brian Hazard now. So that rubs some people the wrong way. And then, of course, some people just hate mass transit and population centers. So going to New York City all of a sudden became the most expensive thing in the world because people you can't drive your RV next to MSG and expect to tailgate for 3 days. You can do that in Des Moines. You can do it in St. Louis. You can do it in Omaha. You can't do it in Manhattan. So I think that once we got through that, we were fine. But I thought New York City was great in terms I've worked that venue, that facility a couple times. But to be able to announce the Nationals in the Garden, freaking sweet, dude. That was the cherry on top of the college season for me. And then you get the trials, you get the Olympics, and so much good wrestling this year was just a part of it too. If it would have been like the worst season ever, and I got these events that have been like, well, yeah, it was great, but I mean, we had like 9 rideouts. That was boring.
I'm with you. Which one sounded best? Which place did your voice sound the most pristine?
The best sound system in the world is Madison Square Garden, without a doubt, because they have 350 something events there. No, they have sometimes 2 events in the same day. Cause like the Grapple the Garden was on a Sunday morning. The Rangers played Sunday night. I actually went to that Rangers game like a couple weeks ago. So they have like 380 events a year in 365 days. So they have to be good. Their system is really good. Their microphones were great. The production team was great. Carver Hawkeye Arena. Just from a wrestling perspective, not too many people get that opportunity. So that was a really, really good pro team there. Really good sound there. I think I did our Americans proud there. So those were probably the top 2. The Olympics wasn't so much. That was just kind of tough to, I didn't have a microphone. I didn't have my, I had a headset versus Ib. So, but the Garden is the finest facility in this country for any sporting event, in my opinion.
Where do we want to go from here? Oh, I had a piggyback off yours. That's right. My favorite conversation of 2016, favorite wrestling conversation, came in France at the Junior Worlds, much like your previous story.
The John Smith, Mike Zadok, 3:30 in the morning conversation.
Yeah. John Smith, myself, John Smith, Mark Bader, Foley, and Bender. We had it was after one of the freestyle days at Junior Worlds. Maybe Mark, it was the day Mark won. I can't remember. But John Smith was there. No, it was during the women, because John Smith was sitting upstairs just yelling. He was coaching from the stands, yelling at all the girls that were wrestling at the Junior Worlds. It's funny I can't put it into words what he was saying. But no, we myself and Bader went to this restaurant. The UWW had this big party there that we didn't know about.
Did they have bread?
They did have bread. It was really good.
It's really fresh.
They had escargot as well, which I dabbled in. It was good. Now Willie was with us too. Willie was there. So Bader, Willie, myself, we had a pretty crazy time in France. And by crazy, I mean it was like the most challenging tournament I ever covered in my life.
Yeah, I heard the travel there was just a nightmare.
The travel was tough. The arrangements were tough. Just about everything you could think of that went wrong, and then some. But it was still, I mean, the tournament was great. Watching Mark win, Spencer Lee, all the medals. We had a ton of medals. Porter, Nelson, Hancock. I mean, Lamont winning a medal. There was a lot of medals going on, cadets and juniors. I think we had maybe the best cadet and junior group we've ever had as far as, how they rate on the international level. But yeah, so we went to this, I think it was like the Iranians threw a party. It was some sort of celebration for their coach. And I'm sitting over over there with Bader and Willie, and we're just eating some escargot, having some French food, and then John Smith comes over and he's like, "You guys want some wine?" Like, I can't sit over here anymore. It was great. So he came over and we just started talking. And then we all went back to the hotel. Our hotels are pretty close, so we all just went back to the hotel and had more conversations about the Olympics. The Russians, the Mongolians. We haven't even talked about the Mongolians yet. That's one of the best moments. One of the most notable moments.
Boy, let me find my top 10 list from the Greco-Roman Hall of Champions, and I'll throw that in there. Continue. I need to find this list though.
Yeah, I don't know, but so we were just sitting there discussing about everything possible wrestling. And if you get a chance to talk with John Smith about wrestling, it is the greatest thing you could ever do. I was just sitting there with my jaw dropping the whole time. So that was really cool. So France was great. Came back for a couple days. Then I went to cadets I went to Tbilisi for cadets, and that was a whole different kind of experience. It was like we're in a.
Was that you and Holmes?
Yeah, it was me and Holmes. And get this, they put us in the same room, but we had to share a king size bed, which fine, it's a king size bed, and we both got our own robes, slippers. Like they just stocked the place with any sort of.
And for those who are unfamiliar with Ryan Holmes, he is African American, and we're in Georgia, not South Georgia. We're talking former Soviet Republic Georgia. So he probably had quite a following there.
He did.
He was huge in Tbilisi.
He had people come up and ask him to take photos, like they were on vacation, and he was a celebrity, and it was actually quite funny. And he had no idea why. I was like, you know why they're taking photos of you, right? He's like, yeah, we'll leave that story alone. But it was. I mean,
he is Larry Holmes' nephew, so
yeah,
maybe because they're boxing fans.
That's what it was. No, that was a fun trip. Those kids are fun. I really enjoyed that trip. That might have been my favorite trip of the year.
The juniors trip in Pattaya in 2012 still has its legendary status too, for very similar reasons. And ones that may or may not involve Jordan Spieler. And never mind.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the future of USA Wrestling, because just getting to know these kids, the cadet team and the junior team, and you're seeing the results of it. Look at Mark Hall and Zahid, who were both on the junior team this year, and look what they're doing a couple months later in college. It's remarkable. And I'm really excited for this cadet crew. The girls were awesome, and they won. How many medals did the girls win? They won a ton of medals. The Greco guys, same thing. They had a little bit of a tougher cadet worlds. I don't believe they won any medals at cadet worlds, but the freestyle guys won 7 medals out of 10 weight classes. I think 7 medals, and they out-medaled. They lost to Russia in the team score, but that's because Russia had like an extra 8th place finisher. But they actually out-medaled Russia in gold medals. I think they both had 7 total medals, but we had 3 gold, 1 silver, 3 bronze, and Russia had 2 gold, 2 silver, 3 bronze. So we actually out-medaled them. And it was just cool. It was a cool experience getting to know those guys. I remember sitting up there watching the girls, and Yanni and Gable and Whitlake and Roman came over, and they just sat there and watched us the whole day.
Whitlake's shoe game is off the charts, and I'm not a shoe guy. I am not a shoe guy, but his shoe game is nasty good. Yeah.
And he's going to be really good, man. He's got the stuff. He's got the goods.
You got the touch.
He's got the touch.
You got the power. It's just bad singing today. I mean, everything we're leading into is Those trips, those Foes trips are good. I'm probably going to have all three this year. Probably have PA for the Senior Worlds again. Me and TR have to iron out some details, but yeah, it looks like I'll have 5 trips to Europe coming up this year.
Yeah, I might also be doing a little bit more international travel for similar reasons. So I'm looking forward to this year. Any other 2016 moments? What should we get into?
Well, I found my top 10 list. I just want to roll through real quick. So this is Minnesota centric. So I'm the MC for the Greco-Roman Hall of Champions. It's at Augsburg, and this is about a week after I did the Ice Hour D3 show where the D3 coaches are really pissed at Jeff Swenson, the AD at Augsburg, who they claim is having something to do with the gerrymandering of the Division III regions. So that is the claim. That is the alleged claim. So after that, I figured I'd poke fun at Jeff a little bit because we're at his building. It wasn't inside Melby Hall. It was in Christian Center right across the quad at Augsburg, which for those who are unfamiliar it's a small campus in Minneapolis. I mean, it's really right across the street from the University of Minnesota. So we've got old Greco-Roman heads, Alan Rice, the Minnesota Wrestling Storm, what Minnesota Wrestling Club as they used to call it. But I did a top 10 things I wanted you to know about Rio that the media wasn't telling you. So like number 10, from the jungles of Manaus to the beaches of Copacabana, there wasn't a single mustache that could contend with our own Andy Bisick. Laughter. Number 9, for some reason, every problem that occurred in the wrestling venue wasn't blamed on the Russians. It was blamed on Jeff Swenson. More of kind of a localized joke there. Number 8, mosquitoes. Please try living in northern Minnesota for a summer. Yeah, Number 7, Ryan Lochte. Yep, still a putz. And I say, number 6. This was more of an O because Zach Sanders was in the crowd, and Henry Cejudo and Eric Sanders were wearing Matt Talk shirts like on the NBC feed, and people are taking pictures like, who's that guy with Cejudo? Well, that's Eric Sanders, my buddy he wrestled at North Dakota State, Zach Sanders' older brother. So I go, and we went, beer bar hopping one night in Rio. I was like, Wabasha native Eric Sanders, are 5-time state champion here in Minnesota, proved that Brazil actually knows how to brew good beer. Yes, we had many. Number 5, even the Brazilians knew how bad the Twins were this year. That one really went good. I had 4A and 4B. I went with 4A. 4A. The Mongolians. And then I just went, you know what, I'm just going to leave that one alone. Number 3, photobombing Ryan Seacrest is really, really easy. If you don't know who Ryan Seacrest is, don't worry about it. Number 2, I did not get robbed, pickpocket, held up, or scammed. Wish I could say the same for the Mongolians. And number 1, they still argue what was better, Dan Chandler's afro or Pat Marcy's beard. Unfortunately, only one of those still exists today. So that was like my Minnesota top 10. And the Mongolian thing, the 4B was like, the Mongolians, man, they really sure know how to party, was the alternative. I was basically seeing what the crowd's feeling was before I went with 4A or 4B. But that was my Minnesota top 10 list about Rio. So, some of those were, that was Letterman-esque from the home office here in New Brighton, Minnesota. What's the weather today? 4 below. By the way, who is it? Who is it, Rimmel? Who is it?
Who's what?
You know what I'm talking about.
Do I? You forget. I'm a little right now. I'm not feeling so hot.
There's been a steady stream of weather tweets from my hometown from a unknown Twitter account, and I want to know who the hell it is.
The pinfall. You're talking about the pinfall.
That's the worst thing about 2016. Get out of my head.
I don't know.
Get out.
I don't know who the pinfall is. I wish I could take credit for it, but I just can't. It was too ingenious for me. But something I do want to talk about. This is going way maybe off, but since I just finished my 4th year. I finished my 4th quad.
You've lasted longer than I have. You lasted longer than I did there.
Yeah, I know. So I started January 1st of 2013. So obviously been here 4 years and 4 days, but I just kind of wanted to put a bow on this 4-year experience because I didn't really know what I was getting into. Got this job. I'll write about some wrestling.
I gave you plenty of warnings, but
yeah, Jason told me not to do it.
I didn't say not to do it. I said
do it.
I said there's a couple things that you're going to need to know about.
Yeah, you can actually credit Jason for the most part. Well, for getting my foot in the door, at least for getting this job. I had to nail down the interview, but Jason, you're the man for that.
Richard is also the reason I say that LinkedIn is actually worth it.
I don't know.
It was a random LinkedIn request that got my gears rolling. I was like, wait a minute, let me check. I was like, journalism degree. Oklahoma City Barons. Hey, I'm going to be leaving this job here in a couple weeks. It was LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Because it surely
as
wasn't
much
your
as
head.
it annoys me.
It wasn't your headband. By the way, I haven't checked my. By the way, when was the last time you approved all the LinkedIn comments or LinkedIn requests on the USA Wrestling LinkedIn page?
Probably like 6 months ago. I did it sometime recently. I went through it, but I probably go through it like once a year or so.
Yeah. Okay. So through your introspective, your 4 days, I interrupted you. So I told you
4
what
years, 4 days.
I was warning you about certain things.
Yeah, he was warning me
about Chris Moen.
Whatever.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, so I
did Moen just? Was Moen in there right now?
What?
Is Moen in the office right now?
No, the office is closed. I came in on my day off, trekked through the snow. I had the snowshoe up the hill. I just got a brand new pair of snowshoes. They're dope. I do a lot of crazy stuff outside. You probably know this on my Facebook and stuff. I climb mountains and do stuff like that. Mike Clayton, our coach's ed guy, we do some stupid stuff. He actually threw a boulder at me and it cut my leg almost halfway off, by the way. He didn't intentionally do it.
Hey, just remember, if Clayton ever gets on your bad list, I have got some incriminating photos that can bring him down a peg or two.
Yeah, we had this great idea the other day. Oh, it's going to be a blizzard up in the mountains. So we go up into the national park to this lake that's beautiful, beautiful lake. And we're like, we get up to the lake, and it's so windy. It's like 60-mile-an-hour winds. We can't stay up there. So we had to just go find a boulder. It's snowing. It's blizzard. Hiking in. We were in snowshoes. You know, we had planned on spending the night. We just find this boulder. It's got a little grove of trees around it. And then I start digging with my snowshoes. I'm building us a little snow cave. You know, so I start digging. He's chopping wood or chopping trees down to try and build us a fire. Then we switch. I start chopping up the big trees and the little ones so he can start the fire. He starts the fire. Blizzard. Fire won't stay lit because it's so windy. I'm talking like 60-mile-an-hour winds. And finally, it's like 7 p.m. It's dark. You know, we're like, all right, let's just get in our bags and try and tough it out. We get in the bag. Like 2 minutes in, I'm like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. We could hike down. We could go get some pizza, some coffee. Like, I don't know. But we made it through the night. We got out of the bags at 7 a.m. So we were in the bags for 12 hours. I woke up with a foot of snow at minimum on top of me. And Mike had a bivvy on top of his head, but the bivvy did not cover my head. So my head was covered with a foot of snow, like just wet head. You know, I had a little buff like they were on Survivor that I covered my face
I was like,
with.
the only other time I've heard of that was Survivor, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I got it, because Survivor. So I'll be on it. Let's take a poll. Survivor or Big Brother? Which one would you rather see me on? Or The Bachelor if you want, but that's not a similar show.
No, okay. I think probably Survivor.
I think I could win all three.
But the problem is you roll your ankle drilling with really, like, just drilling in wrestling. So I worry about your stability.
No, come on.
I worry about your stability. You just talked about your leg almost getting half chopped off by a boulder, and you rolled your ankle in Fargo.
You know what? When you're at 13,000 feet and someone kicks a bowling ball-sized boulder down the mountain, and you're above tree line, and you have a wall to your left, you can't move, stuff happens, right?
Yeah, well,
and you know what?
All I'm hearing out of you is excuses right now, Rimmel.
I taped it up, and we kept hiking. We got to the top, almost.
Yeah,
just got a little dark, but
yeah, put some spec on that boulder. So okay, now Big Brother, that show, it's not. It had this season. I thought this season was good, but it was bad. And then I didn't even bother watching the
friendship.
Freaking shut up with the friendship.
You need some friendship in your life.
Yeah.
Hey, what time do you have to leave? You got like 10 minutes left?
Yeah, I got about that. But yeah, I got my youngest daughter needs to go to the doctor now to see what's wrong with her.
I just want to make sure we can wrap this up.
Yeah, we're adulting here. So Big Brother, I think that show brings out the worst in people. I sometimes think about how I used to react to people on message boards, even before I had to run them at USA Wrestling. Like, just generally, like a screw you attitude, like getting really just. I mean, I really never really got super nasty with somebody, but when I needed to put somebody in their place, I had no problem digging up the ammunition to do it in like the most politely distasteful fashion ever, if that makes sense. So I feel like the worst part of my personality would come out on Big Brother, and it would be probably embarrassing. So I don't think I would be good on that show, even though I think I can play the game right. But then again, it's like the whole point of the game is to be a scumbag and win. So that might be your shortcoming too, because the first thing Immel's going to do is get a showmance and you're going to be voted out like week 7 because power couples don't work on Big Brother.
Why do you assume I'm the showman's guy?
Dude, come on.
Not cool. Not cool. I can be the let's just leave it alone. I'd win Survivor though.
Survivor. What was the other one you said? The Bachelor? I don't watch it. I don't know. I don't care. I did find out at that Minnesota Hall of Champions thing that Gable watches Dancing with the Stars. And when my wife is sitting there talking to Alan Rice's niece and nephew, or niece-in-law, or basically it's like his niece or nephew and their wife, which I don't know which one was which, but they were related to Alan Rice. They're not wrestling people, but they were there helping Alan. And I'm sitting next to Gable. And then the woman goes, I don't know if we were just talking about the Olympic thing. I just told him that Olympic story. She goes, I wonder if he's still on Dancing with the Stars. And Gable's next to me and goes, no, he's still on the show. And I did one of these. It was like, you can't see this because this is audio, but I did the slow, like open mouth, like gaping face turn, like. And he looked at me and goes, what? My wife watches it. I'm like, shenanigans. Gable's talking about Dancing with the Stars. With my wife, which was like my third. Anyway. So
I enjoy a good Paso Doble. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
I don't watch that show. I would have watched it if Helen was on, but that's about it. They put Lochte on, but not Helen. So she screwed her moment over again.
Just for the record.
All right. So,
so what was I saying? Put a bow on it, huh? So crazy 4 years.
Oh, moment of the year, by the way. I hate to do this. I hate to put the bow on it. The turf burned down.
That's not the moment.
That's my sad moment of the year. That's my tear of the year.
Tear of the year. Herding Horns. That's where we're going. Next summer.
Better food.
Horns. They got good food.
Cooler owners. Your feet don't stick to the floor.
It's true. But, I mean, there's just something about the...
I've never seen anybody actually throw up on the floor at Herdin' Horns, I've never parked at the Herdin' Horns on a Sunday morning and seen a pile of puke frozen to the floor or frozen to the parking lot like I have at the turf. So, yeah. Put a bow on it, Immel. I'm going to get on the turf topic here quick.
I don't even know how to put a bow on it. I was going to talk about, a month into my job, we get hit with the whole Olympic fight thing.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. I mean... I had to grow up in this job really fast.
You had to adult.
Anyways, I just I think this 4 years has been amazing. And this is just me reminiscing now. I've gone to so many things, so many cool places. Before I got this job, I'd never been to LA. I'd never been to New York. I'd never been to Vegas. I'd never been to Chicago. I've never been overseas. I don't even know if I've been outside the states that border Oklahoma, unless it was Florida, going to Disney World or something like that. So the opportunities this job has provided me it's been unreal. The people in wrestling, unreal.
Never been thrown up in the air by like 15 Canadian women at the same time.
And the people in wrestling, as I said, unreal. If Gary listens to this, I'm going to get fired. Thank you for that. This was a touching moment that was supposed to be heartfelt for me to the wrestling community, and just
dude, you want a heartfelt? You're asking the wrong guy to come on your show.
Heartfelt. Anyways,
this is how we're kicking off 2017. Finish up strong, Rimmel. Oh, we're starting off 2017.
I would also like to change my NCAA pick at 184 to Gabe Dean. And
do you remember what I said? Do you remember how I said it?
No.
I'm just gonna play that sound clip on March 20th.
What, you got a plan or something?
Cornell? The plan was beat people over their heads. I think that's still the plan.
So Gabe Dean, Destroyer of Worlds. Hey, before we go, what are you most looking forward to 2017?
That's a really, really good question.
Something we probably should have prepared for.
Well, I'm getting a new tattoo in a couple days, so I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to, here's the thing. I think whenever I go to an event, and this will be 19 years for Fargo. This is, I've found out that I'll be inducted into the Virginia chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in April. I think being able to go home in April for that induction ceremony, that's what I'm looking forward to, because that is my people. That's the ones I cut my teeth with. Just like you, when you go back home to Oklahoma, you got people that you've known for years. And I think anybody, when they go home and they're around some people that really were there for the formative years. And when I get to go home to Virginia and they're honoring me and inducting me into for the lifetime service of wrestling at age 37 in my home state, that's something I'm looking forward to. But I'm looking forward to be able to bring my wife, my kids, my in-laws, my family coming up. That right there and my 20-year reunion are both huge things that are going to happen for me in 2017. And just hopefully that my kids stay happy and healthy. And, we're going through a little bit of a rough patch with Lucy right now. And Ruby's got a little bit of a cold. And, we got to do the home things with, carpets and drywall and build the speakeasy studio. But I'm really looking forward to 2 weekends in one in April and one in July for the Hall of Fame thing in Virginia, and then the 20-year high school reunion. So I had a pretty good 2016 to talk about with them. So I got a feeling I'm going to be repeating a lot of the same stories, in July back in Poquoson, Bull Island, to my high school friends. So you?
Outside of another fun year of school in my master's program, I think I'm most looking forward to seeing how the world team shakes out this year. I'm curious to see who's
such
out,
a wrestling answer, Immel.
who's in.
Trying to keep this show off the rails, and you keep bringing it right back to wrestling.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Yeah, but I agree.
I do think we'll have some fresh faces on the world team this year. That it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see. We didn't even talk about Logan Stieber, world champ, dog. Come on. 2016, world champ.
You just had him on the show. What are we going to say that you haven't already said? That was a great show. You went back-to-back Logans too, which was cool.
I did. I noticed that.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to the Captain Burundi here interview Logie Bear, that's a great episode. So
yeah, I thought it was pretty good. We're having Logan from X-Men. What's his name? Coming on next. Wolverine.
Yeah, I just know him as Logan from X-Men.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Gosh, what is his last name?
I don't know. Wait. Does the next Star Wars movie come out in 17 or 18?
No, it comes out next December.
So 17. So that's the third thing I'm looking forward to for 2017.
Episode 8.
Yeah, because I saw Rogue One like Thursday night that it opened.
Hey, Rogue One was good. Rogue One was really good. I was impressed.
Yeah.
It was a little jumpy at first, but once they got into it,
Spoiler alert, everybody dies.
Yeah, that's the best kind of movie.
It's like
the best kind of The Departed.
I walked out of there, I'm like,
Braveheart?
Yeah. You know what? I never actually saw Braveheart, but I did love The Departed. Hey,
one of my favorite conversations was at the Senior Nationals last month with Timmy Hands and Bader.
5-point move.
5-point move. We were talking about the best movies of all time. That was a great conversation. Always a fun little, I don't know.
Airplane.
We'll leave it at that.
Anyway.
Jason, I think you have somewhere to be. I think I have somewhere to be as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna close on this because we were talking before we started. Richard's getting his wisdom teeth out. I had my wisdom teeth out. So 2 things. 1, January 5th. I have not had a chew officially in 6 months.
Congrats.
So that's 6 months. I started July 5th. My youngest daughter Ruby has never seen Daddy with a lipper in. Happy with that. That's 180 something days. It's not exactly 182 and a half or whatever half the year would be. 2, Bill Cosby jokes are not cool anymore. But if you are old enough to remember Bill Cosby's stand-up, Bill Cosby himself, where he talks about going to the dentist, that's all that was going in through my head when he talked about his wisdom teeth. My wisdom teeth is my fibbeth. You want me to ribbonth? If you can find it, it's worth watching, despite the whole drugging people thing. So take yourself back to 1983 and think you're watching it versus creepy drugging people Bill Cosby today. So that's all I got to do, and I bid you farewell.
And we are out. Thank you for tuning in. See you next time on Short Time
Bonus Points. Rock on.
I'm done.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.